Welcome to the Global Analysis presentation of the country of Denmark presented by Lee Almond Bennett, Cynthia Hickel, Tanya Heard, Charles Minter, and Kevin Holdman. Our analysis will consist of the political, economical, socio-cultural, technological, environmental, and legal aspects of Denmark in comparison to the United States. Denmark is over 4,300 miles from the United States and about a 10.5-hour flight from Texas all the way to Denmark. The population is most condensed in four major cities: Copenhagen, Aarhus, Odense, and Aalborg. We've seen a steady increase in population growth due to the strong commerce and job market, drawing an international pull as well as retaining domestic populace. Let's dive into the population data a bit deeper and compare gender and age stratification. Note that in Denmark that the ratio is pretty equal at median age range, and that in the U.S. there are more males. Two observations can be made. We see more men in executive positions due to simple statistical population advantage. And on the flip side, ladies, you have the evolutionary advantage when choosing a mate, as you have more to choose from. When looking at the population rate discrepancy, please note land mass may be a limiting factor that needs to be accounted for. Now we'll dive into political. The Danish government is based on a parliamentary representative democracy, a constitutional monarchy, and a decentralized unitary state in which the monarch of Denmark, Queen Margrethe II, is head of state where she has served since 1953 as the first female monarch. This monumental and historical change paved the way for Danes to be open to a new idea of gender equality for political power distribution as they elected their first female prime minister in 2005, where she has served for the last decade. Denmark is described as a nation-state. Denmark enjoys the highest level of freedoms, more religious and speech freedoms even than we have in the U.S. Denmark is reported by Freedom House to be the least corrupt in the world, which also might be coincidentally why it is also reported to be the happiest country in the world. Denmark also receives high marks from the Corruption Percentage Index, where once again Denmark is the least corrupt, beating out the United States by 17 slots. There are many contributors to Denmark's recognition of excellence in their dedication to eradicating corruption. They have a high level of government effectiveness, with a system of balance of power ensuring that no party or group can be influenced too unilaterally. The Rule of Law Index shows that Denmark has a level of accountability for laws in place, contracts written, and those signed off by lawyers as being slightly higher than the U.S. This leads one to believe that those lawyers in the United States might have something to do with it. Might want to move to Denmark.
Now let's take a look at the economical aspects of Denmark. The economic system of Denmark. The Danes enjoy a high standard of living, and the Danish economy is characterized by extensive government welfare measures and equitable distribution of income. The Danish economy is a paradigm of a socialist political system. Well-to-do citizens enjoy capitalistic free market benefits, while poor citizens enjoy the welfare of a socialist economy like free healthcare and education. Many U.S. politicians believe that Denmark is a model of equality and social welfare that the U.S. should follow. The idea of welfare for all is actually causing economic instability in Denmark. Royal family grandchildren's salaries to be stopped. In the 1940s, the cost of raw material imports hurt the economy.
Denmark's inflation in November 2016 was 0.4, while the United States is 1.69.
Currently, both Denmark and the United States have fairly stable unemployment rates. However, you'll notice in the late 2000s, the economic downturn caused both countries issues.
Economic recovery has been fragile, and the GDP per capita is still below its pre-crisis level. Although gross national income has received a boost from favorable term of trade developments, sluggish productivity growth continues to be a challenge. Denmark's GDP growth rate rose to 0.4% in 2016 from 0.1% in 2015. According to the World Bank, Denmark's GNI per capita was last measured at 47,810 in 2015.
Comparing the Economic Freedom Index of the United States and Denmark shows that both countries are relatively free. The United States is currently ranked at 11 and Denmark is ranked at 12. The Human Freedom Index. As you'll see, Denmark, as well as the United States, are some of the most free countries. This Human Development Index chart shows that Denmark has overtaken the United States in this department.
The level of FDI in Denmark is far below the country's potential, but has been increasing in recent years. Despite the challenges facing Eurozone, estimates was done in 2015 which indicated the FDI inflows are over Euro 3 billion, which is an increase from 2014. Denmark is both an important investor in foreign countries and is highly dependent on foreign investments. Denmark's currency is the Danish krone. It is also pegged to the euro. In December 2016, Denmark's foreign exchange reserve had reached to 59.5, and in previous months it was 61.2. In February 2015, the foreign exchange reserve was at an all-time high of 109.1 and had a record low of 18.5 in January 2002.
Denmark ranks 18th in both economic complexity and GDP per capita out of 185 countries. Out of 220 countries, Denmark ranks 35th for imports and 39th for exports. The United States ranks 5th in economic complexity, 11th in GDP per capita, 1st in imports, and 2nd in exports. Denmark is a net exporter of food, oil, and gas. Denmark's main imports are machinery and miscellaneous manufacturing goods.
Now let's dive into the socio-cultural aspect of the Danish people. The most impressive fact about the Danes is that virtually 100% of their citizens are literate due to early childhood entrance into child development centers and mandatory preschool programs. Religion in Denmark is more of something one identifies with but doesn't practice, as the country truly is beginning to morph into an agnostic state compared to the United States, who identifies and practices measured by attendance of a worship center, as shown by the corresponding chart, with the majority being Christian. If you are planning on traveling to Denmark, you better invest heavily in Rosetta Stones, as these folks speak more than just Danish, including German and English. But if you'd like a challenge, try Greenlandic. Let's dig into their socio-cultural framework and find out. Hofstede's dimensions compare Denmark to the U.S. in 4 major areas: power distance, individualism, masculinity, and uncertainty and avoidance. Denmark tends to lean towards a collaborative culture where open dialogue is encouraged, whereas we see the U.S. a bit higher in the area of power distance, suggesting that Americans are less encouraged to give opinions and more likely to obey policy as is. In the area of individualism, they come closer to mirroring the culture of the American average. However, the United States still values individualism about 20% more. In the masculinity rankings, Denmark places a lower value on competition than the U.S. by a significant stretch. But who's competing? Finally, in the area of uncertainty and avoidance, Danes tend to do better than Americans with ambiguity and uncertainty. Could this be why they're so happy? They tend to be less stressed? Probably so. I think now we can see why the Danes are the happiest people in the world. Can't you?
Technology. Investments in research and development. Denmark is among the top 10 OECD countries for investment in research and development, accounting for 3.08% of their gross domestic product. Research is an important building block for Denmark and is well positioned when compared internationally. This is important to Denmark's government as they continue to become better at translating new knowledge to developing new solutions and products, while also maintaining a high level of research in areas such as green tech, biotech, pharmaceutical sciences, telecommunications, IT, and design. They are a world leader in clean technology with focused energy policies that has placed them at the forefront in the development and use of renewable energy. They are a first mover in IT with an excellent digital infrastructure and high IT penetration that make them an ideal test country for new information technologies. Software companies in Denmark enjoy great success, and today the nation is an important European hub for companies such as Microsoft, IBM, HP, and Google. Denmark is also a biotech frontrunner and a major world player in areas such as bioengineering, enzyme research, CNS research, and cancer research. Danish researchers continue to be among the most productive in the OECD in producing scientific publications. They are ranked third after Switzerland and Iceland for the number of publications in relation to the size of their population. Environment. According to the Environmental Performance Index of 2016, Denmark is ranked fourth in the world among 180 countries globally. Denmark's strong commitment to the green transformation makes Greater Copenhagen an outstanding testbed for sustainable smart city solutions and changes the patterns of production and consumption, growth, and development. In its bid to introduce more sustainability into the city, Copenhagen has applied different smart solutions. For example, a complete modernization of the sewage system has allowed for an improved water quality while creating a public harbor bath. An underutilized part of the city center has now become a strong urban recreation space. Cycling is a part of urban planning and design, allowing for a low-expense, quick, safe, and convenient way of getting around. Denmark has also invested on an efficient, reliable, and highly integrated public transport network, making the levels of congestion and pollution one of the lowest of the major international cities. Copenhagen has been able to send less than 2% of waste to landfill. Half of the waste is recycled, and maximum use is made of waste to generate heat for the city's district heating network. In 2015, Danish wind turbines beat the all-time world record, supplying wind power equivalent to 42.1% of Denmark's total electricity consumption. This is the largest share ever in Denmark and in any other country in the world. The country has a national climate goal of covering 50% of Denmark's electricity consumption by wind power by 2020 and to become completely free of fossil fuels by 2050.
According to the World Justice Project Rule of Law Index, Denmark received a score of 89 and a global ranking of first among all countries rated. It has a business environment which supports limited corruption, open government, and constraints on government powers. Its public institutions are transparent, efficient, and free of corruption. As a potential investor, you will enjoy strong protection of intellectual and physical property rights. They are not only protected by law, but also in practice. Denmark adheres to key international conventions and treaties concerning protection of property rights. To solidify this stance, Denmark has ratified the World Trade Organization's Agreement on Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, otherwise known as TRIPS. This provides standardization regarding the regulation of copyright rights, industrial designs, patents, and trademarks, among others. Denmark has also opened the Building and Dwelling Register containing detailed information about all buildings and dwellings in Denmark, which led to an increase in the number of digital services and websites to enhance transparency and competition in the Danish real property market. Denmark's rule of law or legal system is based on civil law as opposed to the common law system practiced by the United States. This minimizes the risk of misinterpretation should complications occur during any business relationship and should provide a significant degree of comfort to foreign investors or organizations considering investment in Denmark. Some of Denmark's strengths are that it has a strong rule of law, low unemployment rate, strong property right protection, and a flexible labor market. Some of its weaknesses that potential investors need to be aware of, however, are its high tax burden, high household debt, which may have a negative impact on consumers, and high interest rates. Denmark has a vast array of opportunities, which includes an open economy, protection of intellectual property rights, availability of inexpensive land, vast resources of natural gas and oil, and it's generally regarded as a happy place to live, which will bode well for potential business managers. Some of its threats are the European economic crisis, an unstable financial sector, strong union presence, and potential global terrorism threats. Overall, potential investors will find Denmark, a country rich with strengths and opportunities with manageable threats to business growth, a great place to invest.